Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? There were some hiccups connecting to YouTube, so um, I had to bypass Rumble Studio to make that happen. So I should be live across just about everything that I normally go live on. Just a bummer that I couldn't get all connected through Rumble Studio. But at least the good news is I'm on StreamYard, and I'm also on the clock when it comes to local. So I'm keeping this within a timely manner. I'm just about to close a couple of things here. Let me just make sure that this is all in order, and then we'll just dive right in. I did want to share something with respects to what's the names? A couple of big, I guess, I don't know, podcasters, YouTubers. I mean, they're interviewers, so I guess talk show hosts that they've interviewed some regime leaders, the presidents of regimes. I'll highlight them here. You guys know who they are. Okay, so I think I just got it just about done for YouTube. Okay, almost at their YouTube. Because see, Rumble Studio for some reason ended up creating one, two, three of different posts for for you guys as if I'm gonna go live three different times. So I'm gonna delete those off the feed before some people think I'm spamming them all over again. But yeah, all right, they should all be gone, and I should be fine on YouTube. All right, let's get to it because I'm going to be sharing a few things here. So let me make sure I have the media assets right up there too. Okay. Oh, by the way, it says Knives Out on this topic I'm going to be talking about. So because the knives are out, I figured this would be a good time to remind you that I am officially an ambassador for a Dead Moose Operator Knives. So that would be dmoknives.com. The box is over my shoulder here. If you type in Segovia at checkout, if you like something you see, you'll get 10% off your order. So, and you'll be supporting an American-owned small business that makes everything here in America. Even their steel is sourced from America. So go support them. Tell Jeff that I sent you. Alrighty, so let me share with you all this. Let me start off with this one because it's more of a joke for me than it's for anybody else. So we know that Tucker Carlson was causing a stir recently because he interviewed Masoud. I can't even pronounce that name, so I'm not even going to try. The president of Iran. So he even posted up a disclaimer saying that, well, he might. I didn't ask him the hard questions because he might not be that forthcoming, if at all. So yeah. So then I guess he said, "Hold my beer," because someone else did the same thing. We have Sean Ryan interviewing the regime leader of California. So that would be Gavin Newsom. I live in the People's Democratic Republic of California, and there was this cringe clip that was put up from uh, for this episode of the Sean Ryan show. I don't know if it's here, it's buried somewhere. There it is. That there was a that Sean gifted uh, Gavin a gun, a six saucer, I think it was, and Gavin says, "Oh, I respect this gift." Yeah, is that why you passed the strictest gun laws, arguably the strictest gun laws in the entire country? We just had like not even 2 weeks ago that a judge overturned a rule that was signed into law here in California where you cannot buy more than one gun a month. So yeah, spare me that you respect the gift. So anyway, we're going to be spending time on X and my stuff that I was covering over on Parlor for the duration of this stream. Let me pull up you guys over here on Rumble Studio in case it's coming through because it kicked me out of the room. Okay, all right. In case you guys start chiming in, you're welcome to chime in. I'm not going to be streaming all that long though because I cannot, unfortunately. But I am running across everything. Locals, I'm going to try to wrap this up as quick as possible because this is mostly for you guys over there because you were asking. All right, so we start off with what kicked off everything because right now the big thing is what is going to happen because Dan Bongino has threatened to resign over this whole Epstein file debacle. That's, of course, it was botched by Pam Bondi because, of course, she did. Yours truly said very early on, especially because this whole influencer nonsense, that she's got to go. But there are some people, even those that I respect, I've even had them on my show, that were saying that people like me were overreacting. Calm down. This is very early on. Let Pam do her job. She will get it done. And wait for phase two. You guys are more trustworthy of the politicians than I am. Look, even Trump is my guy, but like I can't put all my faith and trust in him. He could only do so much as the executive. There's still got two other branches of our government that need to go along too. So this is not a dictatorship, regardless of what leftists think this is. But credit to where credit's due. This is the scoop that Laura Loomer posted very early on from 7:09 a.m. my time in the Pacific. She had put FBI Director Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are livid with Attorney General Pam Bondi over her DOJ memo and her lack of transparency from her office regarding the Jeffrey Epstein files. Sources tell me Dan Bongino is taking the day off from his job as Deputy Director of the FBI, and there's now speculation on whether or not he will return to his job at the FBI over his disgust with Bondi's lack of transparency and handling of the Epstein files. So, yes, that was very early on, and others picked this up too that were confirming her reports. That would be Axios, CNN, were all confirming that this was indeed a thing. But the one that had the scoop first was Laura. That's why I'm highlighting her. And shout out to you, Laura. And let's see, let's scroll up here on the um, list because she followed up by saying Pam Bondi is very damaging to President Trump's image. Oh, yeah. She drags the administration down, and the base doesn't want her as AG. She is harming Trump's administration, and she's embarrassing all of his staff and advisors by creating a PR crisis for them. Yeah, because when what's her name, Caroline Levitt, who's usually very stoic up there and just letting the reporters not have their way with her, and she's normally very composed. It looked like she didn't want to be there when Peter Doocy was grilling her about the Epstein files. So it's also not fair to her because she's not the one that put out the memo, and that's the other thing. No one signed the memo. Come on, it's that all was like no one wants to take responsibility for this. They don't want to put it into the international into the archives because who signed off on this nonsense. So yeah, there's a lot that went on there. So let me scroll up to what was even more interesting. Yeah, you had the Axios confirming, then Revolver News also picking up on the scoop. Eventually CNN, the action figure, Pam Bondi in action figure. It's on my desk, Fox News. Bondi has got to go. Yes. Yeah. So like I said, I've covered this before with respects to the Bindergate thing, and I covered it again recently. And if you didn't see that, it's the algorithm over on YouTube kind of. Well, we all know it sucks, but hopefully that is changing according to them. Do I have full faith in YouTube that they will make these changes? I hope so. We're genuine voices out there. But if it doesn't, on my channel, I did have a discussion about this very thing. It's also on Rumble, and it's also on Locals. But more importantly, is what I spoke about back when all this was just blowing over, okay? Because it's all rearing its ugly head. Let's see, scoop. Dan Bongino, well, this is an update from Laura a little later on, that now is seriously thinking about resigning from the FBI as deputy director over Pam Bondi's mishandling of the Jeffrey Epstein file. And let's keep going. I think there's another one here from her that I want to see. Caitlin Collins, CNN, when they confirmed it. So then a lot of people on X were starting to put out there, okay, so if we have a choice, will she stay and will he go, or should he stay and she should go? Obviously, Dan Bongino should be the one staying, and Pam Bondi should have been fired. At this point, she's not resigning; she should be fired. Okay, so let me pull up this other post. This one's, I think, was Raw's Alerts that I saw it in. There were two posts on Raw's Alerts. One of them was with respects to, this must be a new one. Let's see. Why did it start all the way down here? That's weird. Let me scroll up. Why did it start off all so low? Okay. All right. No, that's not the one. Here we go. This was supposedly Daily Wire reported this first, that the FBI Director Kash Patel is now considering resignation if Pam Bondi remains and Dan Bongino is removed. So that was like, okay, so now they're really trying to twist arms here because what's the name? Trump and Melania were paying their respects to the flooding victims in Central Texas today. So this was all happening in the background as they were there. I'm sure some people were monitoring. They're like, OMG, what's gonna happen as soon as Trump is done paying his respects? Like, here, you gotta deal with this crap storm. Well, with this, that just means like, okay, that means Bongino is really serious about stepping down if Bondi still has a job. That's all this tells me. Because then Patel's like, oh hell no, he's gone, I'm gone. Because now they're trying to leverage it because reports were that Bongino had clashed with Bondi. I think it was earlier this week. Some staffers that weren't named were saying that yeah, they clashed. It was really ugly, but supposedly all and they parted ways peaceably. This doesn't look like that if those stories are meant to be true. And Patel, seeing how all this is going, like he'll probably be like, oh hell no. Look, first off, let's be very clear here. The three of them have not been as good on this when it comes to the Epstein files. But that has a lot to do, honestly, with how everybody made up in their minds as to how all this would and should play out. I've said it from the very get go that uh, something I never talked about on my show, honestly, was the Epstein files. I've always maintained my position. I repeated it over and over again. Whether I see the list or not doesn't matter. What I want is people on that list be brought to justice. Because people were like, release it, release it, release it. What do you mean release? Like, do you want to see it? It's okay, fine, you'll see it. But if you don't see the names that you want to see there, does that mean it's an incomplete list? There'll always be something that was probably going to be off that it would never satisfy everybody. So to me, it didn't matter which way this was going to go. There was always going to be not enough. See? And to me, what I wanted as a result from any of this, what anybody should have ever wanted, was the guilty be brought to justice. And I saw the stupid question flying around: do you still want to see the Epstein list released if it implicates Republicans? What the hell does that have to do with anything? Expose it all. Arrest everybody on that freaking list. It's like, come on. What a stupid. That's all engagement farming. Because some of these on the right were putting it. It's so pathetic, man. It's damn left and the right are the same. Okay, so now let's go to this post. Now, this was 2 hours ago from Roz Alerts saying that AG Pam Bondi has said she has no intention of stepping down and is quite proud of the department's work so far. Well, now that just gets even more interesting, doesn't it? Because that would mean that if this holds, and we have a very tense weekend, because now it's what, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Uh, if Dan is no longer at the job, and if Kash Patel is like, hey, I'm not here either. If Bongino's gone because we want Bondi out, dude. If this is gonna get really ugly, because the only one that could do it at this point is Trump. Trump has to fire her. She's not resigning. He has to fire her. She should have been fired. So I said I was gonna be spending time on this on X and on Parler, and because, like I said, I am up against some limited time here, I'm gonna skip over to Parler. So these are I was doing coverage of this over there to inform the community. And let's see, I kicked it off talking about like sharing Laura's story, and I showed it to my Instagram audience too. So Instagram saw this too. So and I put, well, if Dan resigns, this is my commentary now. If Dan resigns, it will prove him to be the bigger man, but it's Pam Bondi that should resign or be fired. And then I reposted it by saying, well, reports are flying that Kash Patel is considering resigning too. Okay, so now this is the main post that matters because it's kind of summarizes this whole thing. I wrote, I was disappointed in the FBI guys. And sorry, let me pull up my comments here. Okay. I was disappointed in the FBI guys, and that means Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. Because I said all three of them have been disappointing in all this. Like for Kash Patel to be this strong and all those comments he made before getting confirmed. Look, I didn't really know the guy. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh my goodness, the Kash Patel's going to change everything at the FBI. It's like, no, but he talked a big game. And as I said in previous more localized episodes, meaning really locals, I'm like, yeah, you talk a big game, but so does everybody on the outside. When you go in, you'll see what you're dealing with. You don't have the authoritarian power to make those changes. You have to work with the bureaucracy that was created, that you have to dismantle it piece by piece. You can't go in like a wrecking ball. It's not going to happen. I know a lot of people wanted that for Trump too, but dude, it's not going to happen in that way. That's why the whole third party idea never really petered out. But MAGA was born, and that's how you effectuate change. But in all that to say that I was disappointed with the guys. They were making claims that were just ruffling feathers with the right, and everybody was just getting a bad taste in their mouth. Where it's like, oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt, yeah, he killed himself, like without a doubt. And you guys put out well, who put out the DOJ or the FBI the 10-hour video, but conveniently there's a 1 minute glitch. Like, I get it, okay? Cameras do not go on forever. And there could be that reason that the 1 minute that's missing is that it resets itself. And of course, there's going to be techies out there that check out the metadata to confirm whether that's right or wrong. And so I saw some people posting that some techies have checked the metadata and said that it looks like the video was tampered with. Could be or couldn't be. Dude, I don't know. That's really all it comes down to. But all I can say is not a good look. So as I wrote, like, I was disappointed in the FBI guys, but I called for Pam Bondi to resign months ago because of Bindergate. I never supported her confirmation. I wanted Matt Gaetz, but knew he could never be confirmed. This is back in November, by the way. I called for concern how the GOP resisted Matt, but were unanimous with Bondi. The thought of losing Kash and Dan, but Bondi remaining, will drag the entire administration with her. So that's what I put out there. And I was exchanging with a friend, and I'll share his post. So if you're watching, wherever you're watching, you know who you are. It's because I was talking to him about this, and I shared that he saw my parlor post, and he's like, "Well said." And I do remember you saying that very same thing about Bondi when we were speaking about the confirmation. No pushback was more than enough evidence. I think I haven't heard anyone touching on that but you. Thanks, bro, because no one else was touching on it. Even friends of mine and have a big sphere of influence, they were pushing for her confirmation. Hey, I was not. I'm like, no, I'm not going with you here. Like, Matt Gaetz, I think, was a solid choice because he was controversial. And because he's controversial, without a doubt, he was never going to be confirmed. But the thing is, as soon as he got nominated, he resigned from Congress. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Dude, you're not going to get your seat back, dude. You haven't been confirmed. You only been nominated, man. You just got elected to serve under the next Congress in January when it gets sworn in, which is this year. But he resigns before any confirmation? And then all the resistance that he was never going to see that. And sure enough, he didn't. And he's like, oh, I could help better from out here. Why? Now you're podcasting? Or you're doing your own show? Come on. I think it's because he's had to deal with a lot of crap. If you ever want to see the most golden confused reaction of Tucker, see the episode where he first interviewed Matt Gaetz about the extortion thing that was being run against Matt, and Tucker just looking like, what the hell, like the most bewildered face you'll ever see. Yeah, but anyway, staying on track because I gotta wrap this up. Okay, what else did I write? I think this one up here. This is why I shared the Rosalers thing, that now Pam Bondi says she has no intention of stepping down and is quite proud of the department's work so far. And then I commented, if by Monday Bongino and maybe even Kash resign, that damn bimbo will drag the entire Trump administration with her. She'll become a black hole, vortex. You know that if you watched it, Jar Jar Abrams, shout out to you, Neurotic. He he posted when Jar Jar Abrams did Star Wars, but Star Trek, and there's that moment in Vulcan where this red dot that transforms and like over to a black hole and just sucks in a planet. That's Pam Bondi. Okay, that's Pam Bondi. She already took down a bunch of conservative influencers and people on the right, that some of them that I respected. I can never, ever see them the same way again. And oh my goodness, did they have to eat crow when this whole memo thing dropped last weekend. I'm like, this is on you guys. You allowed this to happen, and then it's like, oh well, Liz Wheeler does her own like live stream talking about that. We weren't even going there for this. Like you guys were flown in secret, okay? And then to make this big old heyday, the cameras waiting for you guys. Like, we weren't there to see Bondi or whatever. It's like you guys were briefed by her, okay? You guys had an entire meeting, and not don't pretend that you didn't know about any of this. But I'm very grateful that at very least there were two citizen. Well, one of them's an influencer, the other one's a citizen journalist that were there, getting receiving these binders that did not want to post for the cameras. They posted up their own videos later, say, "Hey, look, they gave this to us," and something reeks. But at least they're talking about it. That'll be Savannah Hernandez. I think she saved her credibility, and Nick Fritas, someone that I don't follow, but I only know by reputation. Okay, but everybody else, Chaya from Libs of TikTok, uh, uh, my goodness, the DC Drain. I keep forgetting his name. Rodney O'Hanlon, whatever. Then who else? Well, I never cared about Cernovich. And that guy's been a grifter anyway. Beta male. And who else was there? Yeah, a lot of them. They think, oh yeah, Jack Paselbeck. Oh my goodness, and this Wheeler. It's like your reputations. How do you guys have the stomach to still go on and grift off your audience? I don't understand. But I hope their audience have really, uh, like really let them have it regarding this whole fiasco because their credibility was taken by Pam Bondi, and now the administration's being sunk by this bimbo, who, by all intentions and the reports are to be believed, she has no intention of resigning. So the only solution is that Trump has to fire her, and Trump is coming off right now this memorial thing that was being done in remembrance of or paying respects to the flooding victims. So he has to go from that mindset to this other mindset immediately and seeing like, dude, we're going to lose control of our administration here because this is going to be a domino effect that's going to happen. Okay. So not only are there like 1,400 people being fired from the State Department, now you're going to let go of you're going to see Dan and Kash leave. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very intense weekend to follow for sure. Um, right. Well, normally I don't really toss it out to you guys, but as I'm signing out, for those of you that can, you can comment. I don't mean on the live chat, so I can see it later. Rumble, if you're on locals, and of course YouTube. Down below, let me know. What do you guys think? This whole thing's a crap show. I knew this was gonna happen because if you talk a tough talk, it's like the back if you were around when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire became the biggest thing ever. And if you were watching and you were frustrated as everybody else and watching these contestants go up there and screw up easy questions, I'm so glad that oh my goodness, Regis had to say like, hey, you're not the one in the hot seat. It's different when you're in the hot seat and all the lights are on you. The music's intense and it's being broadcast to millions of Americans. And it's true. It's true that if you were on that hot seat, it'd be very, very different. So when you have people that are known to be influencers or talk a big game because they're podcasts or whatever, they're so used to just the punditry, and now they're having positions of actual influence, like going into bureaucracy and say, I'm gonna go change this, and you show up and you're like, ah, crap, it's not what I thought it was. That's the problem. That's why I'm like, yeah, Cash talked a big games. Like, what do you think, Cash Patel? Look, the fact that the left hates him is why I wanted him, but he talks a big game, and don't be disappointed when he can't deliver on the very things he says he wants to do on day one. Yeah, sure, not even 100 days, man. It's just like, that's what I mean. It happens all the freaking time. The only one that's been able to say without a doubt, like on day one, I'll take care of this, has been Trump. So like, that's someone like, hey, he did it. So there you go. But everybody else has never been in politics, but talk about politics. They know how the game is played because they comment on it for a living and get paid for it. And they rub elbows with these people afterwards, that you put on their whole show in the theater. It's just, I hate it. And now we find ourselves here in this situation. And I'm so glad that a buddy of mine remembers exactly where we were when we talked about this in November of 2024 when Matt Gaetz was nominated. And he asked me, what do I think? And I said, I think that's the perfect pick that he's not going to serve, though. It's not going to happen. He's not going to have the votes from the Republicans because the Republicans don't want him. And why didn't they want him? Because he's one of the 10 that stopped McCarthy from being confirmed. That was the vendetta they were going to use against him, and that's where we find ourselves today. That's why it was a very boneheaded decision on Matt Gaetz' part to resign the same day he got nominated, pretty much, because now look, no, I think he still would have had a chance at AG had he remained, just withdrawn the nomination at the time, because then he would have proven his worth a little more and maybe proven himself as a team player, more of a team player under this administration with the other Republicans. But that is not the case. But now everybody's saying that, oh, knives out, Laura's coming after Pam Bondi, the Trump whisperer, the Trump administration whisperer. And I'm like, well, we'll see. I mean, she's helped effectuate change elsewhere with the disloyalist, but I don't know so much about this one. No one, but like she says, no one tells Trump what to do. He does it. Well, that's the case. He has to own up for this mistake too. So he can't just get all the wins. You have to credit the losses with him too. So you win some, you lose some. So Trump, it's on you. Fix it. Fire Pam Bondi. But it's just funny though. Last comment I'll make, and for those of you that are interested, you can follow me across the socials at the Andre Segovia. You can check out anything and everything about me at theandresegovia.com. But the last comment that I'll leave you with, as I'm timing out here, is when it comes to I just lost my train of thought because I saw this thing on Rumble. You can't see what I see, unfortunately, or good, you don't see what I see. But this is all these people that came back to me, all these MAGA types that were so upset earlier this week, like, oh my goodness, Kash Patel, and Dan Bondi, they've been bought out by the deep state. They got to resign, and now it's like they might resign. Oh my goodness, don't resign! No, fire Pam Bondi. It's like, seriously, political wins, man. The way they blow. Thank you so very much for watching this spur of the moment with my show. Have a good weekend, and good night, everybody, except for Pam Bondi. I hope that you are fired. That's where I'll leave it. See you in the next one.